many of you, I want to know now, this is where the true crux comes. How many of you friends knew about this? Because I know some of you did. How many of her friends, the ones that stick up for her, Sandy Marie, new Sandy, I'll say your name because you jumped on live to talk about me. So I'll say your name, and you blocked me for no reason. Me and you never had no problems, you know. But you looked in my face and told me I like you, you're real. So I hold on to them words, what you told me. Whose son is that? Whose son is that? But they're asking people for money and it's not being used for what it's being used for. Whose son is that? Sexually assaulted a little girl. Because you know what I would do as a campaigner? I would say, listen guys, I'm a grandma and I'm campaigning for children because my own son was an animal and I want to protect children. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. That's what I'm saying. Grass ain't always greener on the other side where the cows are, you know. Seriously. The grass ain't always green on her. Just so everybody can see I'm not lying. I'm not chatting no shit. I don't do shit. I don't do stuff. That's what I'm saying. I don't say stuff unless I speak out, unless my feelings make me. So I feel mugged off. How many of you that went to Patch a House had a choice in knowing that we got dragged and lured to somewhere where there was more than how many years of child abuse in that building? How many? Because I didn't have a choice in that. I also didn't have a choice that I've sat and he's shed an interest. He asked me, who's that little girl on the flyer? You fucking nonce. I don't even want to say what I'll do to you on here. Don't ask me about my daughter. But now you've asked me. Now there's an issue. You asked me about my baby Ocean. You thought you could ask me about my daughter. You're a groomer, mate. You're a groomer. You went to go and meet your mother at a flipping old children's home. I'll just read it again for those of you who missed it. For those of you who wanted to jump on the Jane Kelly bandwagon. How many names has she got? A disturbed man who subjected school children to a horrific and prolonged hostage. And like I said, this is just son number 1. We'll get on to son number 2 in a minute. Because she tried to make out, I think she was going to try and actually frame me, that I stole from her house. But there we go. And prolonged hostage ordeal has been jailed for 6 years. Stelios Andreas, and this was meant to be her smart son as well. She told me this is the smart one, but even he don't want nothing to do with her. She asked to visit him twice and he said no. She's not even allowed to go and have a cup of tea in his house. Preyed on vulnerable adults and children in a frightening catalogue of offending. And I think there's more. I think this is just one lot they're telling you about. Carlisle Crown Court heard he falsely imprisoned 4 children, punching 2 of them and sexually assaulting a girl. Go and get me you lot, go and get me more viewers, please. Go and share this video, please. Go and share this video. Put all of the elements together. She's asked for money and not used it in the way she said. Opened 2 companies' houses on the said date. And now basically we've got this story.
Parcel. 1 minute.
Oh look, it's gone, sorry. The story's just changed, but I'll just keep reading. I'll keep reading, guys. That's what I'm saying. You lot, stop playing with me. Anyone that comes to me, keep coming. Anyone that wants to come for me, come. Go and dig my name up. I'll give it to you. You're not going to find nothing on me. Nothing. Nothing. Nada. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. You see, people will have you close sometimes to keep them for their own motives, you know. She knew my level of intelligence, so she'd rather befriend me than make me an enemy. But when you threw me out of your car because you vandalized property and I asked you a question that made you my enemy, do not ever WhatsApp me again on a concern tip. She messaged me yesterday on WhatsApp, but she threw me out of the group chat and blocked me. So what? Make up your mind. It's contradictory. But here we are now anyway. Here we are. I feel sick. I feel sick. Do you not tell people, like, I'm not being funny. If my son done this, I would have to tell you lot. I'd have to say, look, let me touch wood. Let me stroke wood, because my son will never turn out like this. I would say, look, guys, I'm a campaigner. My story is a little bit different. My son was actually an offender, but that doesn't mean to say I'm like that, but I would like to help change the future in this way. You ask this woman a story. First of all, they're being ritually abused. Then it's the mother, her mafia Italian family stole the kids. But then it's in the next breath when she's having a breakdown and forgets that she's not acting no more. It was, my son can never forgive himself because he put the kids in the car. So which version is it then? But then we find these versions. Of course, social services are not going to let your kids be around that. Do you understand? Of course they're not. Of course you had to move to the middle of nowhere in witness protection, like I didn't clock it. The 22-year-old was jailed for GBH, theft, 4 counts of robbery, sexual assault and false imprisonment after pleading guilty on November 29th to the offences. Carlisle Crown Court was told, can someone else pronounce this for me, Anat Tesselopoulos has been living in Townview Field Hostel, set out on November the 11th at 5:55 in a balaclava, and first terrified a woman passerby on the Highgate who had to push him out the way before running away. Rebecca McGregor, prosecuting, said 5 minutes later he punched the man in the face 3 times, leaving him needing surgery. She called me a that on social media 2 days ago. I left that in Derby. Am I a that, Jane? Am I? So what do you call a that? What do you call a that came out of your fucking womb then? Because nothing like that will pass through my fucking womb. You got two of them, innit, that are criminals. 2 of them that are criminals. And need I say any more about the rest of your family? No wonder your neighbours won't let their daughters play at your house anymore. No wonder the 2 little girls that was in foster care come and got removed for no reason. Do you see what I'm saying, guys? People part tell the truth, but the truth always comes to light in the end. Wake up, Facebook, man. And do you know what? Do you know why I'm angry? Because if you're going to do something like that, or you want people around you, then at least tell. It's like, you know, like when you have hoe friends at school and people say that you're a slag because your friend's a hoe. Well, hold on a minute. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of us probably now being branded as paedophiles and nonce protectors because we've been seen in public with this raging woman who can't even spell and vandalizes other people's property. I'm going to read these comments after. I'm going to read this one more time, then I'm going to read the comments. I'm going to see if anyone else feels like they want to jump on my live, and I'll share the screen. Anybody else wants to say anything? Carlisle Crown Court was told that, I can't even pronounce his name, Jane's son, who had been living in Townview Fields Hostel, set out in balaclava, first terrified a woman passerby in the Highgate who had always to push him out the way before running. He was looking at me weird, but he knows he would have got knocked the fuck out. I would have knocked him the fuck out I would have knocked him back to Cumbria, because he's currently residing in Birmingham. Rebecca McGregor, prosecuting, said 5 minutes later he punched the man in the face, leading him. I've just read this how many times. Continuing his spree, he then demanded £5 from a 22-year-old with autism. But don't both of her sons have autism? Don't both of her sons have autism? And at the bargain booth threatened to knock out a 12-year-old boy if he did not hand over a drink. Could you imagine your 12-year-old son coming? I would have, oh my God, he wouldn't have survived the prison, which he then snatched. Mrs. McGregor and so-and-so, who had drunk half a litre of rum and 2 cans of beer, went to Kirkbarrow at around 6:30, where 3 13-year-old girls, 2 boys and girls were in a shelter and Akerite Field Park. Jane's son butted the first boy before punching him and forcing him to drink from a bottle of peach schnapps. The defendant smashed the bottle and held the neck of it to them, and demanded the names of the children, then told them to call him Pete. What is that about? Call me Pete? Call you what? Peter Pan? The boy that never grew up. He continued to punch the boy, banging his head against the shelter before telling him to confront the girl. Jane's son put his hands around the girl and kissed her on the cheek, then told her to stand up and kiss his forehead, but she said no, said Mrs. McGregor. During the episode, the second boy started to text for help, but Jane's son forced him and the first teenager to hand over all their coats and mobile phones. Thank you, Marissa. Do you know what's funny? In this, I can see the ones that are real. I can see the ones that are real in my comments that are reacting. If you lot condone this shit, that's what I'm saying. You lot react to milder stuff. Just react. You're human. Don't be scared. We can think that this is wrong, whether it's a campaigner's child or not. During the episode, the second boy started to text for help, but Jane's son forced him and the first teenager to hand over their coats and mobile phones. Turning his attention to the girl, he asked her for a phone. She denied having one. Then he sexually assaulted her. You seeing that, guys? You seeing this? So basically, what is that place called? At Patcher House, you've got a place called Public People. You're going to be sued for, I want your public liability certificate insurance, and so do many other people there, because you had us amongst the sexual predator, but you called us vulnerable yourselves. We was exclusive, and we're vulnerable, and that's what you want to do, is help vulnerable people. Please tell me why this man who's not vulnerable was at this meeting with parents. Tell me why. I want an answer from somebody, because that's what I'm saying. I'm coming to get a copy of your public liability certificate insurance. So I don't know if any other person was here that day at Patja, anybody else that would maybe like to claim for. That's how we have to handle this world now, because I've had enough of this. You just mug people off. Turning his attention to the girl, he asked for her phone. She denied having one. He then sexually assaulted her. Continued to punch the two boys until 13-year-old boy arrived. He confiscated his phone and coat and forced him into the shelter to drink beer. So he also got somebody drunk as well. What was your intentions with that? Police was called 45 minutes later. So how many kids are being abused and assaulted, right? And police arrived 45 minutes after. But you guys have seen them pop up to mine quicker because I go to a protest, right? Or you guys have seen them pop up quicker because I've wrote a complaint about their nonce, chief police, Dean Preston from Cambridgeshire, and they'll pop up at my house, right? But it took them 45 minutes to come to somewhere where multiple teenagers were being held hostage and sexually assaulted. And they would have been held longer if it wasn't for this resident. In victim statements, the children described how they did not go out anymore, and the first boy said he felt that he had been held hostage. The court heard that in an interview, Hiedi, Gillon's son, said he would have kept the children there for hours and the police not arrived, that he had worn a balaclava to appear more intimidating and that he wanted to go to a prison. In mitigation, Christopher Evans said Jane, Gillon, Hiedi, whatever her name is, how many names she's got, had complicated mental issues and accepted his behaviour was horrific. So she made out a bunch of stoners was worse, even though her husband was supplying my cannabis the week I stayed at hers, and her neighbour and her farmer neighbours. So let's get this straight. She called me a stoner. She called my other guests stoners because I was smoking in my house. And I'm saying, and you lot see me smoke, I do all what I do. Do I seem insane to you lot when I'm presenting my lives or I'm investigating? Weed opens your third eye. We have THC receptors. If we was not meant to receive THC, then we wouldn't have them. Has anybody thought of that? So anyway, this woman brands me a stoner, yet her husband was providing it for me the week I was there. What else? Her neighbour brought me some over. You got the ones to the left of you doing it. Oh, and the farmers down there do it. She called me a that because I asked her a question. Do you know what it is? Because she always knew I'd be the one to do this. So she tried to get me far away from her. She wanted me all on her side, nicey nice. Oh, no, I'm not yours. I'm not yours. I've never been yours. How dare you? Try speak for me. And then when other people speak, or you saw me getting close to other people at mine, that's the real reason you stormed out, isn't it? I don't know what version of events she's told you, but we wasn't all stoning. There was no shouting at mine. We was calmly, sitting at my table, not paying attention to Jane because we was trying to sort out court stuff rather than watch her on column news. That was the real truth. And then because we wasn't watching her on column news, she's got up and stormed out. And then told me the next day when we've gone to Derby, you were supposed to be here at 9. No, I wasn't. The last I knew, you stormed out of my house and didn't have a conversation with me or any of the other people there. We still showed up to support you, but when we did, I don't know if any of you lot saw the lives, she told us that we can't take out our banners, and I had to beg her for Princess Benel to get 2 minutes so he could put up his daughter's flyers. You can go back on my timeline. I shed no lies. You see someone that has the truth, go back and watch their videos because their story or version will never change. But you see people like this, their versions will always change. Right, so let's keep reading. In the community, you pose a substantial risk of causing severe danger to the public. Right, that's one of them. Right, let's get the other one now. So this is one, he sexually assaults. And remember what they say, all learnt behaviour, all role models. Can't raise two that are fucked up. Right, okay, so guys, that's what I'm saying. You lot really think I protest with you and I'm not going to research you, or you lot really think you're going to invite me somewhere and the truth won't come out. Okay, so now we do the other one Now we do the other one that asked her to borrow money at 9:45 in the morning for cigarettes, and then he sat there, cracked a bottle of rum and was drinking it raw out of the bottle. This is that one. But I'm a fucking stoner. I previously posted a warning about Costas of fully wound infamy. Remember her son, guys. Remember at Patcha House? Her son makes and sells watches, but she's broke, asking everybody else on Facebook for money. Do the maths, guys. Do the maths. Make it add up. Make it add up. Because if my son was rich and knew that I was a campaigner for children, I would be telling my son, you better give me one of those watches so I can sell to fix and help these children. Especially if the fight's about this one, son. Just to start off, I want to sincerely apologize to some long-time members in particular, and then they've I was a full rage for being conned by Costas, and in hindsight, I should have read the room better, and perhaps I should have taken a day or two to respond. Can you not tag people in my stuff? Even you can tag the pagans in if you want. I think I unblocked what's her name, Andy, Sandy, Marie. I think I unblocked some of the pagans so they can come and watch real life. And anyone else that wants to keep trailing around after this woman, watch your reputation, yeah? Because like I'm saying, there's ways she could have done this. You could have come out as a if you find nothing wrong with this, or your view isn't, and all the other factors adding up make sense to you lot. It doesn't make sense to me. I would have come out as a campaigner. My son is a paedophile. He's sexually exploited and held hostages, and basically this is why I campaign, because my passion is I don't like what happened. You would have done your campaign like that. So anyway, let's keep going now with the other scammer. Maybe that's what I'm saying, the apple never falls full from the tree. That money did not get spent how it was meant to. I could have got the proof, but I didn't want to just start recording people that called me and told me about the money situation, because that would have just made me an even bigger rat like her. Since my previous post, I filed a report at Kent Police, and they did respond saying that it was a civil or contract issue and better pursued via the small courts. I later discovered that there was another report that was filed against Costas for a similar offence. I have engaged with a solicitor who has filed a bankruptcy petition against Costas. Making sense now, guys? Since filing the petition, we have discovered that Costas does not own any significant assets. He is renting in Folkestone. He's actually living in his mum's back garden in a home, in a wood house. I am busy considering the advantages or disadvantages of possibly taking the matter to the small claims court, but it looks a less likely option to chase a debt he is unlikely to repay with good money. So please be aware of any possible dealings with Costas. I wish I saw this before I slept on the sofa. Good thing I don't got shit in it. People rob the clothes off your back nowadays. And people like him, she robbed my speaker. I haven't got my speaker, but I left my speaker there, and she hasn't even had the decency to message me and say, come and collect your speaker, or would you like me to post it to you, or whatever. So there we go. And people like him, because they know the system and if in case you ask me about your flask, I threw it away because it was dirty. It had thick tea biscuit, a quarter of fucking biscuits in the bottom of the thing. So yeah, before you asked me about your flask, I threw it. I was gonna post it to you, and I thought surely you wouldn't want to drink out of that, but then Kelly and them lot was making jokes about it and said that you drink tea like that all the time. So I don't know. Do your due diligence on watches dealers or watch people you're buying watches from. The internet is a great tool to search for forums. Didn't she come to Patcha House and say that she had her son's got a room full of watches? There was nothing, because I cleaned this woman's house. I went around, I hoovered the whole house, polished, dusted, tidied up her little crafts area. There was no watch of room. There's a room full of junk, which you can see repairs used to go on in there, but there's nothing. But what she done was went to Patcha House and told everyone she's got a room full of expensive watches. Why was that? So you could later turn around and say one went missing. Sorry, let me just go through comments now. There's bare more. Like if you lot type in her son's names yourselves, you can keep reading. I'm not gonna sit here and keep reading through threads. But there's a lot of people he's ripped off. He was using eBay to scam people. So if you're still going around as a parent bragging that your son's got a room full of expensive watches, hold tight you. How do we not know that the £3 wasn't to bail him out or to, how do we not know? How do we not know it was for something else? But you're taking mother's traumas, asking for money, and it's not being used in a productive mannerism. Small claims court will take up more of your time and produce more. It goes on. He used to use a thing called Fully Wound and other names as well. But yeah.